Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Faster my good evening, it's 5:30. This is Update for Thursday 11th of May 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man. Background to that news and sport and business and Sea Watch and travel updates and the newsmakers in person. This evening, convicted sex offender gets another 5 years behind bars. Claire Wells, re-elected leader of Douglas Council. E-scooters could be on the way this year. The new boat leaves South Korea this Saturday and Corinthians women have clinched the treble.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Faster my Dave Moore.
Faster my, a convicted sex offender described as a monster has been ordered to spend another 5 years behind bars after admitting more offences. 33-year-old Joshua David Gray, who's already serving 9 years at the Isle of Man prison, admitted 4 offences of indecently assaulting a child between February 2017 and January 2020, 2 of gross indecency and 1 of inciting the child to commit gross indecency. Claire Wells has been re-elected as leader of Douglas Council for another year. She says it's an opportunity for the local authority to be more consistent with its approaches and to achieve bigger and better things for residents. Lee Johnston could miss this year's Isle of Man TT. The motorcycle racer was airlifted to hospital today after he crashed during practice for the Northwest 200 in Northern Ireland. The Isle of Man's been narrowly beaten in their latest game in the Europe Netball Challenge in Cardiff. They lost 52-50 against the United Arab Emirates, with the match being decided in the final seconds. Elsewhere, interest rates have been raised by the Bank of England to 4.5% as food prices remain stubbornly high. It's the 12th rise in a row and puts the cost of borrowing at its highest level in 15 years. And the UK has confirmed it's supplying Ukraine with long-range missiles. UK Defence Secretary Ben Wallace says the weapons will give Kyiv the best chance of defending itself against invading Russian forces. Those are the Update News headlines. The next bulletin is at 6.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Goromaya, thank you, Dave, from the Ronaldsway Met Office. There's no wind warning in operation for the North Irish Sea. State of sea is slight. A gorgeous evening across the island, dry with some late sunshine, variable breeze. It's going to be clear after dark, overnight minimum 10 degrees Celsius for Jehenya. Tomorrow, Friday, dry and sunny, top temperature 16 Celsius, another dry evening and night, down to 9 into Saturday. Jasan will be dry and sunny, top temperature 18 Celsius. Sunsets at 8 minutes past 9, low tides at 11 o'clock tonight, high tide tomorrow morning 3 minutes before 5, sunrise 21 minutes after 5, and the morning low tide at 25 past 11.
Visit the Manx Glass and Glazing website and see a range of products from windows to doors, mirrors to splashbacks. manxglass.com.
A convicted sex offender described as a monster has been ordered to spend another 5 years behind bars after admitting more offences. Joshua David Gray, who's already serving 9 years inside at the Isle of Man prison, was sentenced to Douglas Courthouse today. Tessa Hawley with the details, which you may find distressing.
The 33-year-old had admitted 4 offences of indecently assaulting a child between February 2017 and January 2020. He'd also pleaded guilty to 2 offences of gross indecency and of inciting the child to commit gross indecency. During sentencing, the court was told the youngster had reported the abuse last year following a lesson about puberty at their school, revelations their mother described as heartbreaking. The child later told police Gray had sexually abused them on numerous occasions. In a victim impact statement provided to the court, the victim's mother said their innocent child had been scared and anxious that they would not be believed. Describing Gray as conniving and vindictive, she added, "I am devastated by what has happened. He is a monster." In December 2020, Gray was sentenced to 9 years in prison with a 5-year extended licence after admitting 6 sexual offences against a separate child, including 2 of rape. Today, his advocate told the court his client needed sophisticated psychological therapy, adding there was little to offer in terms of mitigation. Right-minded members of the public will regard what Mr. Gray has done as abhorrent, he said. Imposing the additional custodial sentence, Deemster Graham Cook said the child's revelations must have come as a bombshell, sending Gray back to prison with an indefinite sexual offences prevention order. Deemster Cook thanked the family of the victim for their dignity that they'd shown during court proceedings. Addressing the child's mother directly, he added, "Words cannot describe how it must have felt to make that statement."
Claire Wells has been re-elected as the leader of Douglas Council for the next year. She says it's an opportunity for the council to be more consistent with its approaches and to achieve bigger and better things for residents of the nation's capital. Our local democracy reporter Emma Draper asked her how she feels.
I am proud because at the end of the day, what we do is important and somebody's got to bring everybody's ideas together and make them reality. So the fact that I'm able to do that for another 2 years is great.
What are you hoping to achieve in the next year?
I think it's a continuation of things, but also an opportunity for us to all sit down together and see what we all want to achieve as a collective. And I think that's really important because in the past, I think we found everybody's got their individual things that they want to achieve. And now we've got a new mayor. We want to figure out what she wants to achieve. And I think it's bringing all of those things together so that come the end of our term, which is only in 2 years' time, we can look back at the last 4 years and think, what have we done for the City of Douglas?
Do you think it's helpful to have a continuation in the council? Obviously, you're continuing leader and there is a new mayor.
I think it is helpful because I think there's always a misconception as to what it is that we do and how we do it. So being able to consistently do what you're doing for the whole of your term is very important. It also gives us the opportunity to reach out to the public and say, well, this is what we do, give them understanding. I think there's still this misconception that this is our day-to-day job, but actually this is a volunteer thing that we all do. And I think it's important that if we stand consistently throughout our term, we can also achieve bigger things and better things. We're not always then trying to adjust and, shake off well, this is what we were doing, now we've got to start something new. Let's keep the momentum going. And yes, I think it is a good idea.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
E-scooters could be introduced in the Isle of Man this year. The Department of Infrastructure says it's currently reviewing draft regulations which it intends to bring to Tynwald. Minister Chris Thomas, MHK, told the House of Keys he wants to take a permissive approach to their introduction.
It will become legal to drive e-scooters on the island's roads and cycle lanes, but they will remain prohibited from being ridden on footways and in pedestrianised areas. They will only be allowed on roads that have a speed limit of 30 miles per hour or less. They will be limited to 250 watts and around 50 miles per hour, the general standard across Europe. Riders would have to be 14 years or older. Helmets would not be mandatory but would be recommended. Basically, the department is keen to support government achieving its climate change commitments and recognises that electric scooters could be an important part of that, encouraging people out of cars for short journeys, including commutes. The department also believes that they will help people towards a more active lifestyle, leading to longer, healthier lives. The department is deliberately taking a permissive approach to e-scooter regulations to encourage people to make this modal shift and lifestyle change. This approach seems perhaps to be in contrast with that approach in the UK, which seems to be taking a slightly more risk-averse approach compared to most countries. That said, the department would undertake a 2-year post-implementation study on the uptake, safety and modal shift. Of course, subject to Tynwald approval of the regulations in the first place. A baseline study for this work has already been completed. Car use in the Isle of Man is very high, with all but 1 in 20 of us reporting regular use. By contrast, only 1 in 10 of us use electric bikes or scooters. However, about 40% of under 40s said they would consider using an e-scooter in future, but this dropped to 19% for those over 40 but under 65, but still a considerable interest. Interestingly, 1% of the 1,600 respondents to this survey reported that they already own an e-scooter.
Corinthians women have secured a season treble in Manx football after a 7-2 win over Douglas Royal in the Women's FA Cup final last night. At full-time, Corinthians captain Anna Shaw spoke to our sports editor Rob Pritchard.
Yeah, it was fantastic result to win here and obviously get the treble. Brilliant feeling for the team, and we managed to pull out the bag there in the second half. So no, I'm proud of all the team for digging in the last 20 minutes. Really, that was the main bit we needed for everyone.
Winning by a 7-2 scoreline. The scoreline, some people might look at it. It wasn't as easy as that at times. They gave it a good go. Douglas Roll caused you a few problems.
Yeah, no, fair play to them. They came at us and they gave us a good game. 7-2. Yeah, you look at it thinking, God, we battered them, but no, definitely not. We felt under pressure a lot of times, especially when obviously they equalised in 2-2. We obviously had to really pull something out the bag there, and everyone had to put it in to get the result.
The result here, and of course winning the league, winning all 10 games as well. What's been the key to such consistency and maintaining that dominance?
I think both, obviously with Dom and Rory, with manager and coach, they've been very consistent this season, and just having a way we play, you can see it, how we play, and when we do play the right football, you can see that in our results, and just going on and on, winning games and learning through the team, learning from each other, how we play with each other, and we've just grown as a team this season. From last season, we've come on so much the way we play now, and it's fantastic to see, especially for some of the young girls coming through.
You mentioned some of the younger players there. It seems like it's a team with longevity and years still in it, so that must be, from your perspective as captain, really promising to see that you're going to have that next generation of players coming through to supplement what you've already got.
Yeah, it's fantastic, honestly. We've got Erin Sells up front, who's just 16, same as Emily through the middle, just absolutely brilliant performance from her. And yeah, it's brilliant to have them young players. They're keen, enthusiastic, they want to play, and they're keen to get goals, and they just love it. So yeah, it's great to see, as a senior member of the team now, it's great to see the young players coming through.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Motorship Ben McCree departed Heysham at 27 minutes to 3. She'll be in Douglas in the next half hour or so. Onto the Manxman, departing at 7:45 this evening, arriving in Heysham at 11:30. Overnight departure 2:15, back to Douglas tomorrow morning at 6. High-speed craft Manannan departed Douglas at 12 minutes to 3. She's on the Manxman already in Liverpool by the Liver building. Departing this evening at 7:15, back to Douglas at 10 tonight. Tomorrow morning's departures, Manannan departs Douglas at 7:15 for Liverpool, and Ben McCree departs Douglas at 8:45 for Heysham.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
And talking of the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company, the new vessel, the Manxman, is set to leave South Korea this coming Saturday, lucky 13th of May. Chanel Suku looks at the story.
The Isle of Man Steam Packet Company has confirmed the ship has officially joined its fleet, with the transfer of ownership completed today, bringing a close to the build phase, which started in July 2020. It is now in the charge of Captain Andy Atkinson and Chief Engineer Dean Ellis. The Manxman will be at sea for around 23 days and will visit 6 different ports of call before arriving in UK waters. Managing Director Brian Thompson said the culmination of the build phase really is a seminal moment for everyone involved. A lot of hard work has gone into achieving this milestone, and it's certainly a time to celebrate that. As the build phase ends, the steam packet is turning its focus on delivering Manxman to the Irish Sea and beginning the process of getting it ready for service. The vessel will dock on the south coast of England at the end of the delivery voyage in order for some final fixtures and fittings to be added. It's expected to arrive on the Isle of Man towards the end of June.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 17 minutes before 6, the British multinational transport outfit First Group slumped today after the UK government nationalises Trans-Pennine Express service in response to months of cancellations. Services will come under the UK's Department for Transport Operator of Last Resort, the OLR measures, from May 28th. TPE passengers have suffered from widespread delays and cancellations over the past year. The First Group-owned operator, which covers an area across northern England and into Scotland, has been affected by drivers who are members of the ASLEF union no longer volunteering to work paid overtime shifts. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com.
The Stock Market Report. Brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK European markets closed marginally lower. The US dollar rose. Oil dropped as a political standoff over US debt ceiling triggered recession jitters. And gold eased as a stronger dollar countered support from the weaker than expected US economic data. The numbers now from Ramsey Crookall. At the close in London, the FTSE 100 down just over 0.1% at 7,730. The DAX in Frankfurt down 0.4% at the close at 15,833. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial down 0.7% at 33,302. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index up 0.1% at 12,321, and the S&P 500 in Chicago down 0.25% at 4,127. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 25 cents, €1 14.5 cents, and 23 South African rand 94.4 cents. In commodities, gold is down 0.6% at $2,017 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude down 1 2/10% at $75.60.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
The Isle of Man in 30 minutes. Update on Manx Radio with Andy Wint.
First of May, it's 14 minutes before 6. A Manx charity which raises about £25,000 a year to help maintain a home from home in Liverpool next to the Heart and Chest Hospital is looking for input into the future of the charity. The Friends of Robert Owen House holding a meeting at St John's Methodist Hall tonight from 7 o'clock. Anne Crane says demand from the Isle of Man is consistently high.
Although it takes people from northwest of England and Wales who live distant from the hospital, 50% of the users of Robert Owen House are from the Isle of Man. And in the last 12 months, there have been 462 inpatients and 600 outpatients. So that shows the level of use that is generated by us going from the island. And it really does have a value. There are 17 rooms. Some of them are, most of them are en suite. There's a family room that will take 3. But I know from our own personal experience that it is valuable for the patient to know as well that their family isn't far away. I think it's worth saying too that we are recognised as part of the Liverpool Heart and Chest Hospital in that we have a seat on the Council of Governors of the hospital, and our current member representing the Friends of Robert Owen House, Isle of Man, is Wendy Caulfield. And so she represents not only the charity, but the Manx population there as well.
Manx Radio Sport.
Fast am I, Rob Pritchard.
Fast am I. Good evening. Starting with netball, and the Manx Rams suffered an agonising late 50-52 defeat to United Arab Emirates in the Europe Netball Open Challenge in Cardiff this afternoon. The Manx side took a narrow 14-12 lead after a close-fought first quarter before both teams were locked together at 27-all come half-time. Into quarter 3, and despite a strong start from the Rams, UAE fought back to get 36-39 in front of the Ireland squad before an intense final quarter saw UAE score 2 crucial goals in the closing seconds to snatch victory. Yesterday had seen the Rams kick off their campaign in the best way possible with a 57-38 victory over Malta. However, they weren't able to match that in their Wednesday evening encounter, with the Wales development squad losing out 31-92. Their next match will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow against the Republic of Ireland. In motorsport, TT rider Lee Johnston has been taken to hospital following a crash in today's practice session at the Northwest 200. BBC Northern Ireland reports the Ashcourt racing man was involved in an incident at Church Corner which saw the Supersport session red flagged. The events director, Mervyn White, has told the BBC Johnston's injuries are not critical and he has been airlifted to hospital. In football, along with the Women's FA Cup final last night, we also had one clash in the Junior Cup quarter-finals among the other fixtures on Wednesday night. Marown hosted Peel, and it was Marown who progressed to the last 4 with a 3-1 victory over the Westerners. Meanwhile, there was an 8-goal thriller in Combination 1 last night as Onchan beat Douglas High School Old Boys 5-3. The other match between St John's and Union Mills was awarded as a home win to St John's. And in the one fixture in Combination 2 last night, Michael United moved up to 6th in the table in their final match of the season with a commanding 6-1 victory away at Foxdale. And And in golf, Manx competitor Anna Dawson has returned to action on the Ladies European Tour today. She's involved in the Jabra Ladies Open at the Evian Resort Golf Club in France, with the competition running from today until Sunday. After her first session, Dawson finished on 4 over par, with play still currently ongoing.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Ronaldsway Airport is the 25-8 EasyJet from Liverpool showing on time, the 10-8 Loganair returning patient transfer plane from Liverpool on time, the 5-8 Loganair from Liverpool on time, and the EasyJet 8:05 from Manchester is on time. The late inbound from Gatwick, the 8:35, is delayed until 5 to 10 tonight, according to the latest. Outbound at Ronaldsway, 6 o'clock, Loganair to Liverpool on time. The 8:05 EasyJet to Liverpool on time. 25 to 9 EasyJet to Manchester on time. And the Gatwick return tonight is scheduled at 10:25. On the roads at Santon, temporary lights on the Newcastle Town Road north of the Ferry Bridge for some drainage work. A section of the Ballagorn Road north of Ballasella closed for water main work near the Ballamoda. In Peel, still those temporary closures around East Keep. Temporary lights on Glen Road, Laxey near the football club, and in Glen Helen, temporary lights on the TT course for tree felling. Lights on the Sulby Strait for resurfacing, and lights too at Glen Duff and Glen Aldin for work on the pavements on the TT course. The Ballymena Road in Jerbage got phase closures for water main replacement. Manton Road still closed between Ramsey and the Bungalow. Victoria Street, Douglas will be closed tonight from 6:30 till 6 tomorrow morning for resurfacing. Temporary lights on Groves Road near the NSC, and also lights at Upper Dukes Road, the Falcon Cliff Terrace junction for water main work. Groudle Road closed between Church Road and Fairway closed for gas work. Also in Groudle, temporary lights on King Edward Road between Groudle and the Liverpool Arms. They're doing some drainage work there.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
Treasury has no plans to assess the impact of rising telecommunications costs on low-income residents. The Minister, Alex Allinson, MHK, says it wouldn't be practical. His comments come after Manx Telecom raised prices for broadband, fixed line and some mobile tariffs by 12.5%.
It would not be practical nor appropriate for Treasury to carry out an impact assessment every time the cost of an element of household expenditure increases, or to attempt to adjust the levels of income-related benefits as each element of household expenditure might increase. Telecommunications and postal costs feed into inflation figures in the same way as any goods or services does. Statistics Isle of Man collect prices for services such as phone contracts, pay-as-you-go tariffs and line rental, and these are weighted accordingly as a proportion of the basket of goods and services that we use as a yardstick for calculating the monthly consumer price index. The Honourable Member for Arbury, Castletown and Maloo will no doubt have seen the report of the Communications and Utilities Regulatory Authority, CURA, entitled Options for Introducing a Social Tariff for Internet Services in the Isle of Man, which was laid before Tynwald's sitting last month. Although this report specifically considers access to internet services, I think it is reasonable to say that the same issues raised and discussed in it are equally relevant with respect to access to landline and mobile telecommunications generally. I would like to take this opportunity to remind the House that since December 2022, more than 25 commonly used public sector telephone numbers relating to health, housing and personal finance have been free to call. These include all GP surgeries, A&E, meds, Nobles Hospital, safeguarding, social security benefits and the job centre.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690-300.
There's less than 24 hours to go till the 2023 Manx National Rally takes place across the Isle of Man this Friday and Saturday. Whilst there's a bumper entry for it this year, you may have seen some of the cars around. The organisers, Manx Autosport, are appealing for some help to make sure everything goes ahead smoothly. Here's the organisation's president, Mark Ellison.
There's lots and lots of things to do. One of our concerns at the moment is we have got quite a number of marshals, but some of the marshals who have promised to come up here have as yet not turned up. Now, we must have probably the biggest amount of just marshals, that's somewhere in the region of 130 to 140, which is absolutely exceptional. But when you lose 20 odd marshals, that means that some of the stages are going to be cut short or even not run. So please, those that have said they're going to come up, or even those that haven't, we still need marshals up here to run this event. Tomorrow morning we have a shakedown stage, and then closely followed after that we have down at Pool Vash, down by the shore in Gansey, we have a stage running around by there, and we've got 2 of them, and then they followed quickly by going up to the Garrow stage and then Ingerbreck. And then in the evening we are same stages, but with the additional Kerristal stage, which of course starts on the infamous Marine Drive and finishes at the Blackboards. I just need a few more marshals, and if there are some timekeepers as well who want to try it or never done it before, we can still train them up and show them what to do. So yes, I need a few more of them for probably what will be one of the most successful events that we probably have had in many, many years.
In terms of this call for marshals, there is a sign-on session taking place tonight for those who may be listening and may be interested in helping out. When and where is it taking place?
Well, we're going up here from about 5 o'clock this evening till about 7:30. We're up here at the Halewood Centre, which is up, of course, in the middle of the TT Grandstand. So please come on up, come and help us. It's very, very much appreciated.
That's it for Update tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Dave Moore, producer Rob Pritchard. Stick around after the news at 6 o'clock. Julian Lloyd-Webber will be in conversation from the archive with Geraldine Jameson, the greatest hits with Chris Kinley. At 6:30, a little light music with Morris Powell at 9, and Dave's back with The Late Show after hours tonight at 10.
WINT